Hello and welcome to Enlighten with Truth. I'm Sonia, and today my guest is Kimberly. And Kimberly, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm honored to have your presence here with us today. Kimberly is going to talk to us today about emotion code, and she's a practitioner with this. And today we're going to focus on um, self-sabotage, anxiety, stress, if there's any type of money blocks. So we're going to get right into it. I'm going to have Kimberly introduce herself. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Sonia. It is such an honor to be here today and be able to talk about this amazing modality. Um, I found this just in January, and it has totally uprooted in a beautiful way, shifted my life and the lives of so many people in my family and all around. So my history, my background is actually not in this per se. I've been a teacher in early childhood education for over 20 years. But I've always been really passionate, and I'm getting the chills, on the social emotional development of children. And so that's really my message, is that the social emotional development of children and is really based on the social emotional development and healing of their caregivers. And so we can only give them as caregivers what we're prepared to do. And if we were raised with, people who weren't respecting our emotions or feelings, which most of us were not, because that's the society we live in, that's what we can give to our children until we begin to make that conscious choice to do the inner work, to look within, and to make different choices. And so this has always been my mission with kids in my classroom and with all the families I worked with privately. And so finding the emotion code was really an answered prayer, very organic in how it's unfolding in my life. So where to start? So exciting. So I'm just going to show you the book. This is the emotion code book I found in a thrift store after starting to meditate for an hour a day, which is just my big, pitch of get in alignment, because this is just one more way, right? For us, this modality is one more way for us to move forward and to become closer, more of our authentic selves, who we were born to be. Get that energy flowing in the way that we were born to be before we started gathering all of this emotional baggage. And that's a good segue into what the emotion code is. Emotional baggage, I'm sure we've all heard that phrase. People on your channel, your audience probably is really familiar with this idea of moving through life, experiencing different things, and then not necessarily being able to process it in the moment. And as a result, even something as little as, the example I always use is we have an ice cream cone. It's, you're at a carnival, you get this cool ice cream cone, you're about to eat it, and then it falls off and it's gone. And now mom, dad, whoever you're with doesn't have any more money, or it's time to go, or whatever it is. And now you don't have this ice cream cone. And that can be devastating for anybody. I really like ice cream, but especially for a 5-year-old, or somebody who's really, really excited about this thing. And instead of, getting down and really talking to them and working through it, and it's okay to throw a tantrum in that moment, most parents, because we're busy and doing a lot of different things, distract or just shush. I'll give you something to cry about, is what I got as a kid sometimes. And so those emotions, for whatever reason, were then suppressed, pushed down into our body. And now we've been carrying them ever since. And that's just like a little T trauma. But then there's the bigger things that a lot of us have gone through, bigger issues, bigger situations in our lives. And as a result of that, we are carrying these energetic blocks. And it's actually like balls of energy. Like they say in the emotion code, Dr. Bradley Nelson is a chiropractor who worked in his practice for years and years. And through collaboration, obviously, from source, he came up with this process of releasing emotions. And I'm not exactly sure how he knows this, but he says that the balls of emotions are like from a baseball to a grapefruit size, and they are in our body. And they are blocking our vital life force energy flow. So it's like, just imagine if you close your eyes for a minute, see your body, and just see a whole bunch of grapefruits in there. That is not going to allow you to like move through your life fluid and, excited and enthusiastic. You've got a lot blocking up. And if you imagine, we have meridians, which are like rivers of energy flowing through our body. And if you just have a whole bunch of grapefruits in there, it's like dams. It's like beaver dams. It's just like stopping up the energy here and there. And this energy can get trapped anywhere. It can get trapped. I have clients is when we release these emotions, for some people, they can actually feel where in the body they released from in the moment. And so I have one client every day. She's like, oh, right there. Oh, right there. Oh, it's in like this little part right here. These emotions can get trapped anywhere. And over time, as they're building up and piling up, this is what can lead to disease and disharmony in our body, which is then going to, bring on physical symptoms, actual diseases, actual, sicknesses and different things, or it's going to bring up mental blocks, which is what we're talking about here with anxiety and self-sabotage, money blocks. These mental things are a result of us carrying these emotions for all of these years. And for a while, may not make a difference, but over time, we're going to really start to see things. And as we try to open up and branch out and do different things in our lives that are so different from the patterns we've experienced prior, that's when these blocks are going to really come up because we're set in these patterns. So it might be a good time to just let people see what it is, because I always say the best way to understand it is just to experience it. So for you at home, you can't experience it exactly, but you can kind of go along with us. Sonia, are you game for giving it a whirl?
I am. I'm always game for releasing. I don't like holding on to anything that doesn't allow me to be the best version of myself in any given day.
And this is such an amazing resource. And I really do recommend, I am a practitioner, a certified practitioner, and I hold private sessions, and it's amazing. I love it. But I also think everybody should learn this if you feel called to it. Some people just don't, we all have different things that we're called to. The book I showed you was the first edition, which I absolutely love. This is the new edition. If you go on Amazon, it's called, or wherever, local bookstore, The Emotion Code by Bradley Nelson. And you can learn. I learned the entire thing in here. The certification for me was simply permission to use this name and sell my services. Anybody
Beautiful.
can. And then, of course, there's nice accountability within doing a certification course and all of that. But anyone can learn. And that is what, this is really about, not just fishing for people, but teaching them to fish in all of these different modalities, like have access to all these things, right? Like we can be empowered to take care of ourselves. And so the hardest part of this is muscle testing. Are you familiar with muscle testing, Sonia?
I am. I do this one, or I would hold something and then ask it a question and then do the body rock. So I do muscle testing with plenty of things, especially when I'm in the grocery store. Well, thank you too for that introduction. Thank you for sharing the books. And I really like that it's aligned, that this is something someone could go out and seek and research if it feels right for them to use. So thank you for that intro, Kimberly.
Welcome. Yeah, and we can I don't know, I'll give you like a website or something you can put on there that within the comments or the description for people, if they want to go. Dr. Nelson has some videos on YouTube, especially for muscle testing, which is not something he created. Muscle testing is something age old, like Sonia just said, she uses it in the grocery store. We can use muscle testing for a lot of different things. What it is a way to tap into our subconscious simply by asking. And so I also use the ring and ring method, which is what Sonia was demonstrating. There are multiple different ways. You can even make up your own, because all it really is asking your body a question and then getting what the answer for a yes or a no, and then finding out what your body looks like for each of those. So for me, and most people who use the ring and ring, a yes answer is holding tight. And I just put my fingers together really gently, as if I'm holding like an insect, something I don't want to crush. A lot of people in the beginning make it really hard. And I mean, I had like bruises on my hands in the beginning, but really light. And I just say, for right now, I'm still me. I'm connected to myself. I'm Kimberly. So I say, my name is Kimberly, and it holds tight.
Mhm.
My name is Donna. That's my mom. It goes out. I'm looking at a computer. Yes. I'm looking at a beautiful waterfall. No. So I always get a baseline just by, asking things that I absolutely know are true. I have a glass of water in front of me. Yeah. There's a dog barking in front of me now. And that just lets me know that I'm there. Sometimes I might need a little more water. Anyway, so what we're going to do, the really cool thing about the world is that we're all connected. And we probably have all experienced this through the power of prayer, sending positive vibes, whatever, however you look at that idea of like sending energy to somebody else who's even across the world. Now, Sonia's in Florida, I'm in Arizona, and we're going to connect, and I'm going to be able to read her subconscious just because I asked to. And she has given consent for that to be done. So it feels a little crazy, it feels magical, and it works. And that's, in the beginning, I was a little skeptical. So if you are one of those people, I encourage you to just try it, especially, having a certified practitioner so you can just show up and you don't have to like actually believe in anything. You can just be there, especially for the beginning. That's always a great bridge. And I know that's my role in this world, is to be a bridge. So what would you like to work on, Sonia?
Um, let's see, I would like to work on stress. And for me, stress comes and goes and it shows up, especially when I'm trying to balance my workload or taking care of my 3.5-year-old who's 3.5 now, or just balancing out relationships. So that's a lot to balance in one time and space, and sometimes they all are coming together in that week or in that month. And so stress is a very common factor that kind of creeps in at times. And because I get stressed, it causes some anxiety. So definitely stress.
All right. And I'm going to throw this out. When you are stressed, what are some symptoms? What are some specific things that you feel? I would just want to pull this into your mind now and pull this into the minds of anyone watching, that when you do something like this, any kind of modality, it's good to really think about what behaviors you're experiencing and what you would like to see shifts in. And then it'll help you to see the measurability later.
I feel tension in my neck back here. And usually I'm like doing this to ease that tension when I identify my stress. And that's the main place I feel it.
Okay, great.
If I hold on to it too long and I don't do anything about it, then I start to get joint pain, lower back pain, knee pain is a common factor. But again, I know it's because I'm holding on to that stress.
Great. How about in relation to other people? Like, do you get snappy, or do you withdraw at all, or is that unaffected?
I withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah. The younger version of me would have gotten snappy.
Yeah, it's amazing to watch ourselves as we move through.
Yeah.
Learn to actually look at what we're doing. Amazing. All right. So I just want to preface this one with one more thing, that I'm not healing anything. I am not curing. This is not the cure of anything. What we are doing here is we are acknowledging the symptoms that our body is talking to us with. When our body has symptoms like tension and joint pain and stress, that's the body saying, hey, listen to me, listen to me.
Yeah.
And so much of our society is like, okay, go take a pill, go do this. What are we going to do to make those symptoms go away? But with all of these modalities that you're talking about, we want to listen to the body and say, what can we do to get to the root cause of that?
Mhm.
And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to find the emotions that are contributing to these issues, to these symptoms arising. And as we release them, we acknowledge them, let them be seen, and we release them, then your body, that those rivers of energy that are flowing through your body are going to be able to flow freer. They're not going to have all those grapefruits locking them up. The energy is going to flow and your body can naturally heal. We were made, and this is why little children, most people can probably relate, when you're little, you fall down, you get back up. You have a big bruise and you heal really fast. And as we get older, that healing process slows down. It becomes harder. We have all these aches and pains. And the reason largely is because we have all this buildup in our bodies of all of these emotions that we were never allowed to experience. We were never allowed to fully process. And emotions, really, what they naturally should do is come into our body. We feel them, we experience them, we express them, and then they leave. They move out. And that is a normal, natural process. And we can see that when we see like dogs or ducks out, and like two dogs will get into a fight, or two ducks are like in the middle of the pond, and then they fly away and then they shake it off. And then they move on as if life that never happened. Like the dog is sniffing the next flower, right? The duck is like over here looking for food. But people, we carry that stuff. We move through the rest of our day with this burden, with this heaviness on our shoulders because that person just said that thing to us, or our boss just told us we couldn't do that thing. And so this is just one way to help us, and shaking it off by itself is also really good. But this is just one more way to shake it off, to let
I
that
love
process
it.
take place.
Love it, love it. It also made me think about, like you talk about these grapefruits in the energy field or that body. So I like how you said that, because that can give a visual image for some people to have that visual, for those of us who are visual, to see those type of things that we could release. And I even saw like some golf ball sizes and stuff. So, or even like you said, here in the thumb. So, it could be small, but it's definitely an energy block. So perfect. So yeah, I'm ready whenever you are.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So the way we do it is we're going to connect. I'm going to connect, and I will serve as proxy, my muscles, for your subconscious for the duration of our time here, at least while we're doing this. And we're going to just ask, are there trapped emotions we can release related to the stress? And then I'm going to use the muscle test to get yes or no answers. And I just have a chart. There's like a nice official one in the book and on the website and stuff, but I just liked having it written out with my own handwriting. And on this chart, it's broken down to 2 columns, A and B, and 6 rows. That is just done for ease of process of elimination to find the specific emotion. There are 60 emotions on the chart, which clearly is not all the emotions there are just in English, nonetheless, all the other languages. But it's kind of like saying the color green, but then green also includes like kiwi green and olive green and, fluorescent green. But just saying green gets the subconscious close enough to knowing the emotion that we can bring it up and release it. And then the really cool thing about this is that it's not just, if we bring up the word anxiety, it's not going to be any anxiety. It's not in general. The emotion code is pinpointing a specific moment in time. And so 9 times out of 10, we can ask your subconscious, is there anything else we need to know? And the answer will be no. But I almost always like to get at least an age, because that's going to sometimes trigger the intuition within each of us to find out exactly what it is. And when I work with people, I really like to have in my session, it's really a sacred container. And every emotion code practitioner does this differently. Some, it's just like boom, 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 we're releasing stuff. And some are going to go a little deeper, give you a little bit more time to process things. So if this anxiety came up at age 5, and for some people, especially those who do this in our work, who are connected to their bodies, who have some kind of practice in doing this kind of work, they're able to say, oh yeah, at 5, oh man, my parents got divorced. Or at 5, oh yeah, there was a big car crash that I saw on the corner. Like sometimes they just pop in. Sometimes we don't remember, and that's okay too. I can ask a little questions if you feel really curious, like, did this have to do with family? Did it have to do with friends? But we don't need to most of the time. And then we're just going to release it. And the way we're going to release it is I'm just going to use my hand, which is as a biomagnetic field. And I'm just going to run it over my governing meridian, which is a main meridian, a main energy source in our body. and it runs all up and down, all down our back. But I can just swipe on my forehead, up over my head and back here with great intention and just say, we're going to release this emotion. And then I'll guide you through it a little bit more to just have that mental clarity. Um, and then it's just going to be gone. Some people will feel different sensations like tingling or hotness or coldness. It's sometimes you can't even describe what the feeling is. I just kind of get a feeling. Because we're connected, I also usually feel something, and it's not the emotion, it's just like I can feel that there's a release.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll feel it and you don't. In the beginning I really needed to shake it out. I had to like get up and jump sometimes to like get some of these big ones out. But all right, let's just jump in. I just want people to know that it can vary, but most of the time when people leave even just a first session, you feel something. You just feel a little lighter. You feel a little more clarity. You can tell that something has shifted. And just like any other healing modality, this is not a one-time wonder, right? You might feel great results after one session. I had one example. I removed one trapped emotion from my niece. She has had very intense social anxiety. When we would be at parties, or just we had a lot of homeschooling play groups, she was always right there, attached to her mom, constantly wanting to eat, even though she wasn't hungry. We just had breakfast, but that was just her comfort. And we were going to a tea party with some friends, and right before we left, I wasn't even with her. She was at her mom's house, I was at my house, and I just asked, I connected, what is one emotion that I can release from my niece right now that will give the biggest impact, the biggest shift to allow her to really experience life and have fun with her friends? And oh, I'm just covered with chills. I feel like I'm going to cry because it's so powerful. And it came up that it was actually an inherited emotion from of panic, an inherited panic from 6 generations of fathers. And so what's really powerful about this work, and we didn't talk about this yet, is many of the emotions are things that were trapped throughout your life. But we also, this is what ancestral trauma is, we also get emotions in our body. We have them that were from generations before, and they get passed down to us at the moment of conception. Along with our DNA, we get all this other stuff. And we've never even had experiences of panic, but as a baby, you're already exhibiting these feelings. And this is why. So this is, I mean, I've worked with babies, I've worked with seniors, I've worked with all these different ages, but even babies who are just crying all the time. What is wrong with my baby? This is something you can do. So anyway, I released that emotion. It felt really strong. It was just one, took about 5 minutes because I really was in it. 5 to 10 minutes of just like feeling it. And then that day she was still normal, attached to her mom. The next day we had a surprise birthday party with tons of people in the house for her mom. And I couldn't even warn her until that morning because it was a surprise that somebody else planned. And I was really nervous about it. And she was fine, Sonia. She was fine. And I don't even know what I mean by fine, but she was in it. She was a different kid. She was jumping on the trampoline with 8 kids. She was running around. She never ate the whole day. At the end of the day, my sister had, everything okay? We had to keep going to find her to make sure she was fine. She was upstairs playing with all the other kids, and there were a lot. We had probably 12 families in our house, so like 12 adults, and then a lot of kids. It was,
Awesome.
and it has just been ever since. And that was I think that was February. She's just come out of her shell, and now she comes to me and, hey Kimmy, will you do a motion code for me on da 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 da? And so my nieces are always coming to me for these things. So anyway, I just wanted you to see that sometimes we can have a one-hit wonder, and it makes a huge impact. And sometimes we need to peel off the layers, just like any other version of healing.
All right.
Hope that
Sounds
wasn't too
good.
long, sorry. But I feel like that was a really profound example. So
Well, it is. It's good to see that you can do this while someone is at a distance, that it's possible. You don't have to be in their space. You don't even have to know what they're doing. You can just work, like you said, subconsciously or with their energy field to help them with these releasing of emotions. And I think the most profound thing that you said is that it was an inherited emotion, something that we didn't even have as a bullet point to discuss, but it is very important to know that we do carry inherited emotions, and it's very strong for some of us. And for some of us, it's we may push it off like, it is what it is. But in this case, it doesn't have to be. It is what it is. In this case, we could work through it, release it, and move on with our lives and creating more space. Making more space for happiness, for joy, for self-expression. So awesome. Well, yeah, I'm so eager to try this demonstration to see what it feels like.
Um, we're going to do it. And then maybe I'll even pull up one inherited emotion intentionally, because
Go for it.
I don't know why I didn't think about it when we talked about bullet points, because for a while I was just like, should I just be releasing inherited emotions? Because the power in it, not only is that it's been passed down through the generations, energy, and this is a quantum physics thing. I'm not myself all about explaining the science. I like reading it, I like knowing it, and I will send you to wherever you need if you want all those details.
Yeah.
But this is a quantum physics thing, that energy is just one kind of energy. So that inherited panic in my niece was one ball of energy, whatever. And it's not a physical thing, it's an energy. And this is something we can't really wrap our minds around. But when we release it, it's released everywhere it exists simultaneously across time and space. So when we released it from her, it also was released from her father, who she lives with. It was released from his father. It was released, and from every generation and every person who inherited this energy, even these people who are already passed on, no longer in this physical earthly realm, and all the people they passed it to. Can you imagine how many people there are just in 6 generations? If, especially back then, people really had a lot of children. All those children, now it's not passed down to every single one, but everyone it was, and then they had children and they had children. So in that moment, and I think that's why it's so powerful to release of 10 minutes and you really having to feel it. That was massive healing that happened. And so it's not just you're healing your ancestral line. And that is so freaking powerful.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's jump in. But I felt like you needed to know that. And if you are interested, we'll just see what comes up naturally. But if you are interested after, we'll do 1 or 2, just whatever comes up for stress. And then if you want to see if there's an inherited, we can specifically ask.
Let's do it.
Or save it for another day. But, all right. So just taking a minute and grounding and centering yourself once again, just really feeling yourself here and now, fully present in your seat, clothes on your skin, the air all around. And take a couple grounding breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Rooting down, feeling connected to the earth. Letting go of the rest of our conversation, anything before, anything after, any responsibilities, and allowing just for these few minutes to be fully present in this now moment. And I'm going to say I'm connecting to Sonia. I'm Kimberly, I'm Sonia, and I'm just testing with my muscles here for those who are watching. So now my muscles, when I say I'm Sonia, are holding tight, and when I say I'm Kimberly, they're going right through. And so that assures me that we are now connected for the duration of our session. And I always begin by asking for divine guidance, that the just right emotions arise, the right insights come up, and the words that Sonia most needs to hear easily and effortlessly flow from Kimberly's mouth. All right, so let's start off with what is the first emotion we can release right now that is contributing to this stress, this tension in the neck, the joint pain, the possible withdrawal symptoms when Sonia is working through balancing work and relationships, mothering? Is it in column A? Yes. So I get it. Yes. Is it in an even row? No. So now I'm just going to go to the odd. Is it in A1, A3, A5, A5, word 1, word 2, word 3, word 4? So I'm just using process of elimination to find an exact emotion. And so using my handy dandy chart, I'm just going down to A5, word 4, and that word is horror, 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 horror. People always pronounce that differently. And I'm just going to ask, how old was Sonia when this was trapped? And I forgot to ask you, do you mind saying your age right now?
44.
Okay, so this is horror. And how old was Sonia? 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 30 to 35, 36, 37, 38. So I'm always just watching for the catch. So this was something you experienced around the age 30, around the age 38. And it's give or take a year. Subconscious doesn't really do chronological time like that. So it'll be more attached if you can think of something that might have caused that around that age, and then we'll test to see if it comes in. So just take a minute and just sit with that idea of horror around 38. Could be 37, could be 39. Let me know if anything pops into your head.
Nothing specific.
Okay. So here we can ask, is there anything else we need to know? And the answer is no. Can we release it now? Yes. So we could just release it. If you're curious, I could ask a little bit more.
No, we can release.
Okay. So again, you just sit there and just receive this, just feel this and follow, I'll do a little guided, but you don't have to do anything else. And I'm going to use my hand and just run it over my governing meridian and say, we are releasing this horror, letting this horror come to the surface of your conscious mind, Sonia, allowing it to be seen and allowing that natural processing to take place. Letting go, letting go, letting go. Knowing that with the power of our intention right now, we have fully transmuted this energy. This horror is no longer horror and is no longer trapped in your body and is no longer contributing to the stress. And take as long as you need to just feel whatever sensations may or may not be arising. Like I said, some people feel nothing, especially in the beginning, and some people feel a really powerful experience. When you feel complete, you can let me know.
Complete.
All right. And I'll just check it's been released. Let's do one more. Is there another emotion we can release that is contributing to Sonia's stress and everything that we've already discussed today? Is it an A, even A2, A4, A6, word 1, word 2, word 3? This is longing from 0 to 10, 0 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is longing at age 9. Longing is like you were, wishing for something, maybe the love of someone or maybe a new bike. I mean, it could be for a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Anything at all popping into your head?
No.
Ready to just let it go?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, just sit back and relax and know that we are releasing this longing, bringing it up to the surface, letting it be seen and letting it process out now. Let go, let go, let go of longing once and for all.
Feel that one.
Just knowing. Sometimes I'll tell people, you can imagine whatever feels good to you. It's getting on a helicopter, it's getting on a plane or train, hightailing it out of here. It's going down into the earth to be recycled. What did you feel?
Like a layer peeled off.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Good.
I call it the onion peel. So I had another onion peel layer come off.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, and so that's the process. And then we would just continue to go through it. For some people, especially, if we get a whole bunch of the same age over and over and over again, people will start to catch on. Oh yeah, from 7 to 10, that was an interesting time. Or from, oh yeah, 32, that was the end of my marriage. Whatever it is are coming up, and then sometimes people will break it down into tears, or they'll just have these little epiphanies. And that's the benefit of working with me, is it really is a sacred container where we can go deep. You can be seen. You can just be whoever you are in whatever feelings come up. And when you do it for yourself, I always suggest having a journal nearby and taking time to really dive in. And then other times, you've got a throbbing headache, you just want it gone. And you could see as I got to the second one, you get faster and all right, it's gone. Okay, it's gone. So there's different ways that you can do it.
Nice. I like that. And I feel too like, now feeling this removal, that I also just want to like fill myself up right now with love and joy. And so, for me, like whenever I release, I like to fill myself with
Mhm.
that good, beautiful energy feeling that makes me feel good, whether it's through a thought or it's through, you know, um, what makes me feel good. I've just learned that through my own um, ways of releasing, that I always want to put in something that now makes me feel good, makes me
Absolutely.
feel happy, thinking about some great things, some loving people. My grandma always comes to mind. Both of my grandmas actually.
Love
So
it.
it's that's beautiful energy that fills me up. So thank you for that. I just wanted to take time to do that,
Yes,
and
yes.
not leave my energy open. So
No, totally. I
thank
was
you
going to ask you if you
for
wanted
that.
to do another, if you wanted to do an ancestral, or we could save that for another time. I think we've explained
Um,
a lot.
I think I will save that for another time because we did two, and that second one, I felt something there. So I want to give my energy that time to enjoy that space. And
Beautiful.
thank you. And I could see too how this work, this emotion code can also help release us from self-sabotage big time. I could see the release from self-sabotage, anxiety, um, but we haven't talked about relationship issues. Can we talk about that a little bit? And if you have any specific examples, that'll
Sure,
be great.
sure, sure. And the relationships really go through there's a whole realm. First of all, I'm just gonna make sure that I am fully connected back to me. I'm Kimberly. I'm Kimberly.
Yes.
Kimberly. Um, and okay, so relationships can run the gamut of things, right? So from mother to child, from partners when you're looking for love after not being with someone for a long time. There are so many different aspects of a relationship. And as always, working on yourself is going to allow you to show up differently. And actually, here's another thing that I didn't give you the keywords um, for the introduction, but there's a thing that we do in the emotion code called clearing a heart wall. And this is really big. Have you heard of this at all?
I think, but I don't think it's called the same name, but it sounds like it's connected to something I have heard.
Okay. Yeah. And this modality, just like so many, a lot of them overlap, right? There's
Mhm.
a lot of different things. And really this is just source coming through different people to give different ways to do things to the world, and different
Thank
people are
you.
going to see, right? Like we hear the same message over and over and over again. And then the 10th person, you're like, oh, I get it. But they were all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But we just need a different person to deliver that message.
Mhm.
And so for me, the emotion code is what clicked. But I see how connected it is to so many things. So a heart wall is really cool, but also sad. It's an interesting idea. So the example I always give is like if you walk by a busy construction site and it's really loud, and you cover your ears. There's jackhammers going on, there's hammering, there's people screaming and yelling, and maybe you're in a city and there's traffic. It's really loud. You cover your ears. You protect yourself from that stimulation. Your heart doesn't have hands to cover it in order to protect it, but it also has that overstimulation. So when there are big events in your life, um, you know, anything that's big that your heart is like, oh, I need to put up some kind of armor in order to get through this because we need to
Mm.
survive. Um, the way it does it is by gathering up trapped emotions that are already in the body and pulling them together and creating this new thing. And it's called a heart wall. And this again is just the words. This is the experience that Dr. Bradley Nelson had. Um, But he discovered through a series of dreams and different things, after he had already been doing this emotion code work, that some of the things that were not coming up, he would ask, are there trapped emotions around this problem or this problem? And get an answer of no. And it just didn't make sense. And then over time, he discovered that once these emotions get pulled into this new thing, this wall around your heart, they're not discoverable simply as trapped emotions, because now they're a whole new, I don't want to say entity, but it's like just a new thing. And they're transformed. And as a result, this is why I brought it up for relationships. When you have a wall around your heart, that is impacting every single thing you do, especially relationships. It's impacting your immune system. It's impacting your finance.
Mhm.
It's impacting right? Like if you walked around town with your hands over your ears, you would be protecting your ears, but you'd miss every invitation for dinner. You'd miss every good song on the radio. You'd miss every I love you from your kid. You would be missing everything. And the same thing is happening with your heart, and it's a two-way street. So the love that you have, the truth of who you are, isn't able to get out. So the people in your lives are not able to fully experience you, and
Mhm.
you are not able to fully experience them. So for relationships, a heart wall is huge. And it's one of the foundational things I suggest to people who are just getting started. Um, and we release it in the exact same way, but we have to use these special words. And we ask, does this person have a heart wall? And we can ask, does this heart wall affect their relationships? We can ask, does it affect finances? Does it affect, but relationships are often a number one thing. And then we
Okay.
just specifically ask, are there heart wall emotions
Yeah.
we can release today? And when you get from start to finish of that, it usually takes a couple sessions or maybe more, depending on the person and how much they like to release per session. When you get to the end, this is not as much of an instant gratification thing where when we're working on something like an acute pain, or specifically like being reactive or withdrawn with your kids when you're stressed,
Mhm.
after we do a couple sessions, you might feel that immediately. Like all of a sudden, I don't feel reactive. Like they did the same things they always do, but I was just calm.
Mhm.
And that feels miraculous. And to me, the word miracle is just an everyday event. Like once you're doing this work, and once alignment, miracles happen all the time. But that does happen immediately. Where a heart wall is a bigger thing, because it's not, you might feel those little things here and there, but it's going to open you up to the world. It's going to open you up to those relationships in a really deep way. And so this is
Mhm.
when people take down their heart wall, their lives really transform, and their relationships with their spouses really deepen. They're able to
Mhm.
expand. They're able to find love when they hadn't found love, because often people will get out of a relationship and put up a wall because it was so horrible. Like, I am never doing that again. And we find that heart wall and we take it down. And now that person is able to see the world again. They're able to experience things in a whole new way.
Yeah.
So, did that make sense?
It does. And while you were talking about it and letting it down, it sounded like, once they let that down and they open themselves up again to who they truly are in this life, in this existence, without blocking off one of our most beautiful, parts of ourselves, which is that heart, to
100%.
experience the world, to experience the world for us. What does it taste like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? I love it. Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all of this information today. Um, I want to see if there's anything that you want to say in closing about emotion code and how it has worked for you personally.
Yeah. Oh man, it's amazing. I mean, I know that doesn't say anything, but that's the feeling, right? Like what I really like, especially being able to do it for yourself,
Mhm.
showing up and doing, this is not therapy. We can't say that it's therapy. It has a lot of similar aspects, especially the way I do it, where we are talking a little bit. My voice is so scratchy today. But when you do it for yourself, but when you do, sorry, when you have a sacred container and you're working with somebody else, you can kind of really work through a really specific thing, and you're doing that inner work in a systematic way. When you know how to do it for yourself as well,
Mhm.
you can, in the moment, like I will sometimes I'll be triggered by someone in my life, and I realize it, and I always say, like, never waste a good trigger because that's always leading you somewhere, right? It's a symptom when something heart race or something makes you suddenly anxious or so, right, that logically shouldn't be doing that, or even if it logically should be doing that, whatever it is, like, what do I do about that? So I come back to my space wherever I can. Sometimes I'm in the grocery store, and I've learned to not be self-conscious. I just don't care anymore. Like walking around doing this, but I will ask, why am I so upset by this situation? Are there trapped emotions I can release? And I pull them up, and within minutes, Sonia, everything changes. I did like a Facebook Live in my car one day because I'm an emotional eater sometimes, and I have been, and I have eaten emotionally. I don't want to
Yeah.
identify with it, right? I'm a person who, and I think a lot of us do, from the time we're infants, we nurse, we drink milk to be comforted, and that is part of what food is. But when we turn it to a whole new realm of, I don't know what to do with my feelings, so I'm going to stuff my face, which is something that I do. It's a different situation. And so I knew I was on my way to go get some bad food. And I don't even, again, I don't, all these words, nothing's bad, but I was going to get food I didn't need to eat, and food that I knew wouldn't serve me, because I know some foods make me have a lot of energy, and some foods make me feel lethargic. So, but they feel really good going down. And so I just stopped and I pulled over and I pulled out my chart, and I was like, are there emotions that are bringing me to this place of feeling like I need to eat? And I just sat there and I did it live. And I did like 5-10 minutes, and I just kept releasing. And again, I'm
Mhm.
covered with chills right now, just remembering the experience. And then it was over, and I went to the library and I ran errands and I did other things. And, it was like 2 or 3 hours before I just went and had a normal meal. And even if I decided to still eat that stuff, that'd be fine.
Mhm.
But I made a conscious decision to look at what was happening within before just distracting myself and burying those feelings with food. And
Mhm.
so for me, just that extension, I had already been working with a mind body food coach for a long time, and I've moved through a lot of this stuff. But we still have, like you said, we're peeling off layers. So I
Mhm.
peeled off a whole lot of layers before. But then I see, oh, there's a little bit, here's another little bit. Here it is. Let's work on it
Yeah.
now. And so having this as a tool to be able to just reach for whenever I need it has been invaluable. And so that's where I'm like, learn it, everybody learn it.
Yeah.
is my plea.
Yeah, I'm all about embracing, techniques and adding tools to our toolbox, that information to help us to heal, to release. A huge part of healing is releasing.
Mhm.
And I think that's what drew me to ask you questions about the emotion code and how it has worked and how it works and how it worked for you and how it's still working for you. So thank you for sharing that. Again, I honor your energy and you being on Enlightened with Truth. And uh, I feel very, very relaxed and very calm. So thank you for the demonstration as well. And thank you for those of you who are looking at Enlightened with Truth today with my guest, Kimberly. I will have Kimberly's information below, including the book, The Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And if you like this video, please let us know, give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. That will help us bring more information like this to you in the privacy of your own home. So thank you so much today, and I appreciate you. And Take care, stay in peace, and stay hydrated.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, everybody.
Yes.